Hey everybody, Esports John here. Today we're going to do a cast of Bisu versus Sharp. This is from June the 24th on stream. So, pretty interesting matchup. I think normally we would say that Bisu should smash this, but Sharp did well in ASL 1 and he's kind of fallen off the map, but so has Bisu. Despite playing amazingly in the round of 16, Bisu has kind of fallen off quite a bit in terms of his play. Hasn't quite been where he was. But his stream games have been pretty good. Either way, I think this is still going to be a pretty close one. I think they're actually pretty even on the levels at this point in time. But this is on Circuit Breaker. So Circuit Breaker, one of the big things that we have to talk about in Circuit Breaker is the big wide open area is very, very bad for mech, honestly. It's so hard to actually get a mech army across the map. So Protoss is generally going to be looking for drops and things like that, but the Terran has a lot more success pushing around the sides of the map. So it's going to be a lot more difficult, especially if in this particular position, if Sharp spawns in the 11 o'clock position, on the top left. That's very difficult because the Terran can push to that low ground and threaten the Protoss third and then eventually the Protoss main. So very difficult to deal with. We'll see how this game goes in particular. We see a pretty standard opening from Bisu, just going for the gate gas. He's not going to do anything crazy like a gasless Nexus or like a Nexus first. So pretty standard stuff. We'll see if he goes for the second gateway to go for 2-gate goon pressure. Probably not, because 2-gate goon pressure has fallen out quite a bit. These days it's mostly just about getting that fast cyber core, getting out a quick Dragoon just to scout things out, and getting a faster Nexus. So I think the reason why 2-gate goon doesn't work so much anymore is because most Terran players are sticking to gas expansions with earlier tanks rather than going for the gasless expansion. That's kind of fallen out of favor for more aggressive builds that can put pressure back on the Protoss. But it's pretty rough. We do see the scout coming out right now. It's going to be scouting in the counterclockwise direction first. Going to see if Bisu immediately goes for, looks like he started the Dragoon range. He's making his first Dragoon. He's not going to go too crazy. He actually scouted cross map first, so he's actually going to know that his opponent is either, it's probably cross map, judging by the scouting position of that SCV. Oh, sorry, no, mine. I forgot, because the workers walk really awkwardly, so he knows it's in the top left. This is what I was talking about before. Sharp going to have free access to pushing through that low ground area at the 12 and pushing into Bisu's third. So it's a very difficult position for the Protoss, honestly. And it makes it very difficult for them to get into that late game Arbiter tech without dying first. So Sharp gets the scout and he sees everything that's going on here. Nothing out of the ordinary, so it's not like he's going to be surprised by what he sees. I think eventually this Dragoon should catch this SCV, but I could be wrong. Oh, good job to cut it off the SCV, but Sharp moves from Sharp in that SCV right at the last second. And I'm curious, I'm expecting to see a Nexus from Bisu, but he's banking up quite a bit of gas. I wonder if he's going to be going for some sort of tech play instead. Or maybe it's just a Nexus straight into a tech play. We'll have to see. First couple of Marines pushing down on the ramp, just trying to assert control over that natural and keep the Protoss from playing. Getting all the information that he wants with that scouting probe. Yeah, we'll probably see a robo put down just now. Yep, there goes the robo. And we'll probably be transitioning into a pretty standard opening for the Protoss. Just standard Dragoon plus range with the early observers while he gets up his economy at the third. So nothing too interesting right now. We do see the standard cut probes here to make sure that we can get up that extra economy there. Big stuff. And the 2 Dragoons scouting out in front. So Bisu at this point knows that Sharp is going for some sort of tech play. He doesn't know if it's going to be vultures. He doesn't know if it's going to be drops or a fake double. He does see the command center now, so that's really nice. This may have even actually just been, yeah, pretty standard tank expand with the CC on the high ground. So nice snipe on that Marine as he was retreating. It's pretty nice. And he's getting natural. Sharp gets another scout into the main, so he gets to see everything that's going on. He's not going to see a lot though. At this point, Bisu could go into a Reaver play if he wanted to, but he's probably going to be going in. Actually, I take it back. He immediately puts down the robotics support bay, so we're definitely going to see some Reaver drops coming in. And this is kind of the Bisu specialty in this matchup, especially as of recent. He's banked a lot on getting off really good Reaver drops in the early mid game and keeping his opponent pinned back while taking a whole bunch of bases. It's also very good against this sort of pressure. Your opponent goes for a gas play and you get the early Reaver up, you can push this back a lot easier than you can with pure gateway units. And a little bit of sloppy to lose that 1 Dragoon, but Bisu does manage to push this back. He almost snipes this tank. He's very close to sniping it. It only needs like one more hit. There it is. Nice. Very well played. And he's even got the ramp block. That's beautiful. So, very well done by Bisu. Oh! Sorry. That scared the hell out of me. Oh, gosh. But yeah, very well played. Actually keeps that Dragoon alive. So right now, Bisu is actually in a pretty incredible position. He sniped one of the tanks. He's got his first dropship coming. Sorry, first shuttle. I always say dropship, but I mean shuttle, I promise. And he's deflected any sort of attacks that can come his way. Looks like this drop actually may get scouted. So he's probably not going to be able to get too much done. You see he's already throwing down the third. As soon as that first Reaver comes out, Bisu is totally comfortable putting down the third because he knows his opponent can't do any pressure on him. He's got to leave at least 2 or 3 tanks at home to deal with the Reaver. He can't just go push out across the map and kill him. So, very nicely played, very smart play from Bisu so far. Still waiting on that second gas, that natural gas, but he seems to be very comfortable with just pushing out and keeping his opponent pinned back while getting this extra economy up. Not going to get the extra gateways up yet, still on 2 gateways, adding a few more now, but not going to go up to the like 6 gate early pressure that some Protosses might do. That's not really Bisu style. Bisu likes to get lots of small edges in this matchup and slowly push down his opponent. You see the shuttle isn't even really doing anything right now. It's mostly just standing there and forcing Sharp to respond. If Sharp doesn't move his tanks down, then it just gets free shots on the SCVs. It doesn't actually have to do anything in order for it to exert pressure. So it's a really nice way to deal with not spending a lot of APM, but still get a lot of results out of it. So good wall off on that low ground area. It's going to be able to prevent any sort of vulture run-bys. Meanwhile, the drop's still pushing in here. Only 2 factories up for Sharp right now, so it feels like he's really far behind, honestly. Sharp actually, oh wow, Sharp actually got the really fast third. That's why. That's why he has so few factories right now. So we do see Bisu is pushing in here right now. He's going to try to do a little bit of damage and prevent this third from going down very easily. At the very least, he's preventing an early SCV transfer. Is he actually going to get all these SCVs? No, he targets the tank instead. So, I'm not sure if that was a mistake or if he meant to target the tank. But either way, it's going pretty well for Bisu. He's got that third base up and running. He's getting his... he actually went fleet beacon, so we're definitely going to see carriers coming out pretty soon. And at this point, it's a question of how long can Bisu hold on before the carriers are ready? Because you have to get that critical mass up, which is around 4 to 6. That's really your critical mass of carriers. So he basically has to delay the turn for that long. Luckily, Sharp doesn't have a lot of production right now, but that production is going to ramp up really hard now that this third base is down. You do see he has that nice observer there right on top of the production. And he actually found a way into the main base with that shuttle. So again, just pulling everything back into the main and then just walking out. He doesn't have to do any damage with this. All he has to do is just threaten. I'm surprised we still don't see a third gas here. Maybe you don't need it with the carriers as opposed to the arbiters. I'm not entirely sure. Blame that on my lack of knowledge of the game, but we do see more of these gateways coming down. I don't think Bisu's going to be going into Templar at all this game. It's mostly just going to be pure Zealot Dragoon with the carriers, and I don't know, maybe if the game gets long enough he'll go into that Templar tech, maybe get a couple of Archons as well, but I think for right now he's focusing mostly on just gateway units and carriers. Zealot drop coming in here. That may just be a utility drop, just in case an attack comes at any point in time. He can get ready to drop on the tanks and things like that. So, not too bad. A bit risky to take this base instead of the high ground base in the lower right. Like I've said before, and I keep repeating, the difficulty is Terran can actually just push directly into the low ground base and threaten that third base of Protoss player. So you have to really think about your choices of where you try to expand. And it's possible that going for this expansion is pretty good because it's hard to push in there when you have the carriers. You have arbiters, typically you want to be a lot more spread out so that you can get really nice flanks, so that you can get drops in the main and just kind of stall out the Terran army. Carriers, on the other hand, don't care about a frontal Terran push. Once you have a good number of carriers, you can actually deal with any sort of Terran aggression that comes your way, although you do have to kite back with the carriers slowly over time. And it's a lot easier to defend this third base from the main with those carriers because you have that high ground advantage. And also, it does allow Bisu to get as much out of that base as possible. Because while he may accept that it could go down eventually, it's okay because he is eventually going to be able to deal with it. So here we see Sharp just moved his entire army down to that low ground area. It looks like he's going to be starting up that siege. And oh, he shouldn't lose the... Oh wow, losing the dropship this early is painful. It's so much harder to deal with this aggression now. Bisu is actually just going to abandon this third to clear some mines. That was a little confusing. He's going to be moving over here now. We'll see if he can break this. This is a very difficult position to break. Bisu has a lot of units. That early econ advantage is really kicking in. And he's mostly just going to be trying to snipe these tanks with the Reaver, but the Reaver goes down already. So that's a little bit brutal. He doesn't have the critical mass of carriers up yet. So this could be pretty dangerous, especially since the 4th has already landed for Sharp. And Sharp has taken out quite a bit of this army. But he is slowly being pushed back by Bisu. And the carriers are out now. The carriers are revealed. I don't think he'll actually be able to push down this low ground area without... He still doesn't have max interceptors on those carriers, so he's not going to actually be able to break this quite yet. This isn't the scary, gigantic carrier force that you would expect in a late game PvT. It's still pretty early. They're still pretty weak. So, not expecting too much there. Meanwhile, Bisu is just continuing to produce. I wonder if he's going to be going to take that high ground area now that he's pushing this back right now. He has the money to do so, so there's no reason why not. And you see his gas is climbing up quite a bit. This is the point where I would definitely consider going into that Templar tech, maybe adding in a few Archons just to buffer for the Zealots and the Dragoons. But here we see pivot around to go up in and cut in between the 3rd and the 4th of Sharp, but I don't think Sharp is going to let that happen. Sharp already has tanks in position. He's ready to deal with this. And again, it's still on point with trying to snipe these shuttles. He doesn't want that shuttle to get anything done at all. And bottom right-hand side cleared. He's going to put down that Nexus now. So very well played from Bisu so far. He's got the economy that he wants. He managed to get as much out of that third base as possible. Even if it eventually does go down, he can stall indefinitely with the carriers on the high ground. But he's actually going to be going on the offensive with these carriers, doing an offensive into this natural over here using this dead space above it. So very clever of him to do this. There comes the Templar Archives now. So he's going to be working on that. Cool stuff. And meanwhile, Sharp is he's forced in a constant defense. He can't really do much. And while all these units are being pulled back here, it opens up a big target on that 4th base. Because when you have to bring back a whole bunch of units, it's much easier to deal with it. Again, he sees the observer, but the observer gets away. Easy peasy. And Bisu's mostly just focused on controlling the center of the map and cleaning up any mines that might be in the way while he establishes this bottom right-hand base. He doesn't feel like he's under any obligation to do damage right now. He's just focusing on his macro and getting extra bases up. So lots of missile turrets over there. This is very obnoxious to deal with. And he's actually gonna attack straight in here. We'll see if Bisu can actually get down this funnel, this choke right here, and actually do any damage. Because this is pretty difficult to actually break for the Protoss player. Yeah, he's gonna back off once he just kills a couple of those missile turrets, that's what it is. And Bisu actually discovers this base down here, so that's really painful for Sharp, because normally Sharp wants to keep this base hidden forever. And that one Zealot is going to be able to do an immense amount of damage until he can actually send a Vulture down there. He's not pulling the SCV, so a bit of sloppy play for Sharp, but I guess he just assumes that he's already going to lose that base. And at this point, Bisu is so far ahead, I don't think there's any way that Sharp can actually win. Bisu has complete control over the game. He's isolated that base down on the bottom left-hand corner. He's got the critical mass of carriers, and he's pushing into the 3rd base right now. Almost nothing to defend. Couple of Goliaths. All the tanks go down already. And that means the Gateway Army is going to have a ball. 2 more tanks come out, but those are going to be easily targeted down by the carriers and taken out. And you see he's cut off the reinforcements from the 4th base. It's going to take them forever to get there. And meanwhile, he's going to be able to take down everything in the natural. There's nothing left. Sharp doesn't have anything to deal with this. He snipes one of the carriers. Bisu not known for his great carrier micro, but I mean, what do you do at this point? You have a bunch of carriers, you have 0 Goliaths, like, hello? Hello? And he also lost the base in the bottom left-hand corner, so Sharp is in danger. I think this is pretty much GG. It's going to be really hard for him to actually claw his way back in, but he's trying this little counterattack on the 4th, but there's a ton of gateway units. They're going to easily be able to clean this up. Yeah, and even storms. Storms to boot, just because why not? I think at this point, at any moment in time, Sharp is going to be giving up pretty soon. Definitely when he scans the bottom right and realizes there's a really thriving economy over there, he's definitely going to give up immediately. See, another big storm coming down on all of those Goliaths. This is just, like, the Terran forces are just melting. There's nothing left. This is the Bisu we know and love. Just tons and tons of stuff, and just staying on top of his macro at all points in time. So all the tanks go down. The Goliaths are going down pretty quickly. More and more units being rallied across the map. And Bisu keeping an eye on the bottom left because he knows the only way back to the game is a hidden base from Sharp. But Sharp is just, he's getting wrecked. And even the double forge coming out right now to accelerate the late game. And there's the GG. Bisu beating Sharp. Excellent match from Bisu, playing that carrier strategy out perfectly. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the cast, please like and subscribe down below. You can also follow me on Twitter for more updates. I do plenty of Brood War as well as Heroes of the Storm, and I look forward to seeing you guys more. Later.